Oh boy, jeez, I got a big old dog here. He sees the camera and he is ready. There's your people. Look at them people. Those are your people. You don't care as usual. I still do. Hi everybody. It's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in Far West Texas, along with Cascade the Wonder Dog. Everybody say it together. We wonder what it is he does around here. And running around on the ground in front of us, probably out of the camera, is Sarah, the world's worst bred Chihuahua. She is being groomed, I guess, by him to take his place, but whatever the hell he does, we haven't got a clue. Hey, but it's a vlog today. Been wanting to do a vlog. We've got a lot of little things, a lot of things going on that I don't think are worth doing a video about. So we'll do a vlog instead. And I'll tell you, it's the heat broke here. We've had cool weather, lovely cool weather, the kind that people come here to the Big Bend to visit and enjoy. But with the cool weather comes kind of a melancholy part of the fall, if you would, for me. Most of you don't know, because you've been watching us build this place, most of you don't know that the thing I do love to do the best, I'm not the best at it, but the thing that I love to do is grow things. I love to garden, and everybody says, well, you're a city boy, and you've been a bush person, why do you love gardening so well? Well, thinking back, I was born in 1953. It's a long time ago. But 1953 was right when the Korean War ended. So when we had the Korean War and prior to that, World War II, America was in this thing where we had to conserve, ration, reuse, repurpose, recycle, everything we could for the war effort. And one of the things that the government told us to do was to plant a victory garden. Grow some of the things you could eat yourself. A victory garden. Now it's kind of what we're all doing now, only the victory now is going to be to save the planet. But those victory gardens were supposed to get us through by giving us tomatoes, potatoes, cucumbers, the things that that we could grow wherever in the country we were. So people in the south were growing okra and peas, people up north were growing tomatoes and watermelons and squash, whatever. But in 1953, as the war ended, I was born. And my family continued the victory gardens. There was one for each one of us, each member of the family, which were a total of 6. There were 7 of us, and my father died. There were 6. So there were 6 victory gardens. My mother would put me in my little jumper next to her, and she'd be on her hands and knees weeding the victory garden. Even though I have limited memory of that sticks in your head. The stuff that they do, that's why people play opera music to their newborn kids so they can go up and replace Led Zeppelin someday. But anyhow, that stuck in my mind, and I love my gardening. So the gardening is the thing I do best. I've done all of this because we have to do it in order to get to the point where we're gardening. Well, we've been gardening. And fall to me has always been kind of I have no idea what those poultry are going off about. Melancholy time for me because all spring through summer I've been nurturing and loving my plants. Now in the fall I start to reap the harvest, but I also have to rip up the plants that I've nurtured all this time. So that's one of the things I'm going to show you a little bit about today. But one of the plants I've had to rip up has been my watermelon plants, my desert watermelon. And we got 2 of these. This is a yellow meat, somebody called it a desert watermelon. I don't know what it really is, so I have to call it a desert watermelon. It's too heavy to hold, too. Probably weighs about 20 pounds. But, got the watermelons, now I got to rip up the vines. So I've ripped up the vines. To me, that's always kind of melancholy. You got to rip up the vines, you're ripping up the tomato plants, you're ripping up all this stuff. It's still green, but it's not going to produce anymore, and you have to make room for the fall garden. And that's where we're going to go right now. So we got the air pump in the background picking up steam and pumping air into the ponds and the fish tank. I'll just try to talk over that. I don't want to unplug it because if I unplug it, I forget to plug it back in. Then nobody's got air all day. Anyway, talking about the victory garden, I forgot to finish the story. My mother kept that victory garden, even though victory was 1953. She kept that victory garden going until about 1957. So that was how I got my exposure to it, because I'm a 4-year-old kid out there with my mother, and those things just stick with you. The only reason she quit the victory gardens was she had 2 really good-looking daughters that hit their teen years, their dating years, and she was far more interested in keeping control of those girls than the gardens, so the gardens went to hell. But anyhow, where I'm standing right now, this is one of the projects we're doing, and I'm not going to do a video about it. But I'm putting the window glass into the greenhouse. I finally got enough material together to go ahead and do that. So I'm putting the window glass in. This is as far as I've gotten. This is the next section. I've got 2 doors to put in here because I want a door to open up out into the next section of the greenhouse. But I have this planter, and the planter is just a corner bathtub, one of those spa tubs. That's where the watermelon was, and that's the reason the watermelon had to go. There were only 2 melons on it anyway, a bunch of flowers, but only 2 melons. We ate one, we're going to eat the other one today. But I have this planter full of dirt, and I cannot get it between the float bed and the tropical bed that I built. The only way it can come out is through here where the doors are going. I want to install the doors today. So the watermelon had to go. This vine, which is a Zuniga de Napoli squash, has to be carefully moved because it's got roots in the ground and it's got 3 squash on it, so I have to carefully move it, bring this tub out, and then get to work on the windows. That's one of the things that, that I have to get going on today. We're going to install this section of the windows, just get those 2 doors in and finish the upper part. And we're doing the 3 R's on this. Reuse, repurpose, recycle. And what I'm doing here, the same thing I did when I put the window glass in out there, we're using all the old firewood that we've collected, the construction debris in that I didn't think was worth building with. Well, you go back through it and start trimming off what isn't any good to use as firewood, and you come up with some pretty good wood. So that's what we're doing now in putting the windows in. I'm going to get these windows in, and I have to get them in pretty quickly because we actually have our first really, really cold snap sometime in November. It's October 15th now. I got to hustle. Still in the greenhouse, and I've just posted a video on the cistern build, so I'm not going to spend much time here on the cistern, but I am standing in the middle of the cistern. It's going to be a little over 10,000 gallons. I haven't calculated the exact water, and I really can't until I get it up to where the height I want it to be. But the cistern is going in this section of the greenhouse. That's why I don't believe you can see the roof. The roof is not translucent panels here. Water tanks were supposed to go here. Then I got mad because I couldn't get the money together, the $3,000 for the water tanks, or $9,000 if I could squeeze 3 in here. So for about roughly $450, I can build a 10 to 11,000 gallon cistern. It'll work perfectly. And the beauty of the cistern is I can pull the water from the bottom of the cistern up, pump it through some radiators with a fan on it, and bring the heat, whatever temperature is in the water, out into the greenhouse. So in the winter time, this water is going to be warm and it'll blow warm air out. In the summertime, this water is going to be cool and it'll blow cool air out. That's the big reason why I really got into wanting to get this cistern built. Because 10, 11,000 gallons of water, that holds a lot of temperature, and it takes a lot to change that temperature, to raise it 2 or 3 or 4 degrees. So it'll pretty much stay whatever the temperature of the, what am I trying to say? The thermal exchange from outside here, get in here, and it should kind of balance out. Summertime somewhere in the 80-ish degree range, and in the wintertime somewhere in the 70 degree range. Not a really big spread, maybe 15 degrees. So I'm really excited to get that going. Had to move some plumbing, have a lot of work to do here, including finishing the wall behind me, but that's all in the video. Let's move on. But as part of the cistern project, I need some pipe for stabilization. And to learn more about that, watch the cistern project videos. But one of the pipes was attached to a wind turbine that blew down when we had a big wind. Now I'm going to get behind the camera and explain to you a little about that, but I thought this was very important to show people that are interested in wind power. So first let me show you the pipe. The pipe failed in a big wind, and the pipe failed in the wind because of something I did. Had I done it with just a solid piece of pipe like they said, I wouldn't have had this issue. But what happened here was the wind turbine mounts up high, and then the wires have to go somewhere, so you feed the wires down the pipe. You feed the wires down the pipe. Well, how do you get them out the bottom if the bottom is set in concrete? So I thought, well, how about if I just cut the pipe, take the 2 threaded ends that already come with it, and put a T in between, which I did. Well, as you can see, the T became the weak spot, and as the wind came along, and it was strapped to the building, but as the wind came along and tempered it, and eventually it broke. However, the thing I really want to show you today, and I'm going to tell you, this wind turbine is one of my original Thermodyne wind turbines, but before anybody else says, "Oh, Thermodyne sucks," I want to tell you they're all going to do this. So here's the wind turbine after it hit the ground. Now it got tore up pretty good, and I've taken the wires off here, but look at this beautiful, pretty braiding. Isn't that braiding lovely? That's from the wires being turned around and around and around and around. But look at here. The black wire broke. Well, you can see it broke because I had pinched it, but look. The red wire, right here where I didn't have anything, the twisting and the twisting, the twisting broke the casing, and I don't really see, but it had to have been shorting against the pole. That's why this wind turbine failed. So when people ask me, do I recommend wind power, this is one of the reasons I really don't, unless you address this issue. Now, I know 2 or 3 people are going to write me and address it, and answer it. Well, I'm going to warn you right now, I'm not reopening the wind turbine wars. I'm not going to post any trolling or anybody saying this guy sucks or that guy sucks. If you have a real solution, sure enough, I'll post it. But mainly I wanted to show you one of my objections to the wind turbines. Now let's see, this one came from right there, and you can see how it was strapped to the building. And it was strapped to the building above where this where the T was, but the T still failed. And there's probably a solution, but I don't know about it. But because it was going inside the pipe, I did not see this going on, hence I did not see this going on, thus the failure. And take that for whatever it's worth. Well, from behind the camera here, not such a big milestone for most of you, but for me it is. Those are my first hydroponic tomatoes, or aquaponic tomatoes, that are coming up there. I'm really proud of the fact they finally came up. And we have, if I back off here, about 50 tomato plants, pardon me, about 50 tomato plants, including the wilted ones right there. That's a different story. And including the big tomato plants that are not in aquaponics out there. So all in all, about 60 plants. And so obviously we're planning on having a lot of tomatoes available this year, both to sell to people and for ourselves. Mainly for ourselves, because we like to have spaghetti or a Italian type product at least once a week. And over here, starting here, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of our basils, and at 9 weeks the basil is ready to sell, and all this basil goes to one of the local restaurants here. So we start the seeds. I've got some thyme right up front here, but we start them with seed, then put them in the net pots, and you can just see the progression as they go up, 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 until finally they're ready for harvest. The last 3 weeks they do the most growing. Been kind of fun, and I'm really interested in that. But we've still got work to do on construction. Well, I'm asking for trouble putting you guys here. Those things, those birds will go off. Walls have, now geese are here. These walls. Listen, I know how loud they are. These walls have to go up, and so that's going to be one of the projects that I work with along with the cistern. So what I'll do is I'll work on the walls until I get to a point where I just can't put any more fresh mortar down where the wall will move. Then I'll go and work on the cistern and back and forth. And hopefully, the goal is to have this finished by the end of the year. And I'm going to move away from those geese because they are going to sit here and talk to us nonstop. So back here in my workbench, at least they can't see me and raise hell, but they will be crowing and squawking in the background. That's pretty much what we're up to for the next while. When I'm ready to do a part 2 on the cistern, I'll do a part 2 on the cistern, and of course there'll be another vlog as we get the greenhouse finally boxed in so that we can hold some temperature in there. Real excited about that. I'm excited about everything that's going on, and if any of you like to plan a visit to come out here, come on out here. The weather's great, and I could use a little bit of help, physical help. Of course, they're never going to turn down Portland cement or things like that, but we need the help more than anything. And that's what's going on right now at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center. Got the end of October, 1st of November, I'm not sure the exact date. We've got this deal coming up called the Green Scene, which is a 2-day event celebrating all things green. It's well worth coming out to see if you're interested in making a trip out here. Just kind of miss the chili cook-off, because that can be a cluster, insert word of your choice at the end of that. That's the way I feel about the chili cook-off. Green Scene's well worth seeing. I am going to do a presentation there at the Green Scene. I'm going to do a little half-hour lecture, and hope to see you there. If not there, here. And if not there or here, at least out there on YouTube with our videos. So until the next one, it's Robert Earl, Cascade the Wonder Dog, Sarah the Poorly Bred Chihuahua, and all of us out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in Far West Texas saying, see you later.